He was prophesied to kill a man on August 13th.
Am 13. August wirst du am Prater einen Mann namens Arthur Grimm töten, mit gutem Grund, aus freien Stücken.
But he didn't know anyone named Arthur Grain. He thought it was just an old woman's nonsense. But ever since that prophecy, his peaceful life began falling apart, piece by piece. Not only did the old woman die under mysterious circumstances, but he also started receiving texts from a stranger, warning him to stay away from a dangerous man named Arthur Grain. And as he dug deeper, he discovered there really was a man named Arthur Grain out there. After that, strange things kept happening. Items would go missing from his home, and other things would mysteriously appear. Someone was clearly messing with him. Until one day, he came home and finally saw that strange yet familiar face. It was Arthur Grain. Nora panicked at first, then quickly chased after him. He was determined to get answers face to face.
Arthur Grimm? Warum warst du vor meiner Wohnung?
Bleib weg von mir!
He finally came face to face with the man he was prophesied to kill, but he never expected this kind of reaction. Why did this man hate him so much? They'd never even met before. Nora was completely shaken. He had no idea what to do next. But just then, he got another text from the mystery sender. Whoever it was already knew Nora had met Grain. Nora immediately asked how they knew, but they just kept insisting that Grain was dangerous. Nora poured out all his questions, but they said they couldn't say anymore, and went offline. Who exactly was this mystery person? The next morning, a thought suddenly hit Nora. He immediately reached out to the old colleague who'd been helping him investigate Grain. This time, he wanted to dig into something else. Grain's abused ex-girlfriend. Because he suspected she was the mystery sender. Who else would know Grain so well, and fear him so much? Things were finally starting to come together. But that same day, Nora got a call from the police station, and the reason left him absolutely stunned. Grain had filed a report claiming Nora was harassing him. Nora actually laughed out of sheer disbelief. But then the chief pulled out a threatening letter. One Nora had supposedly written to Grain. Nora froze on the spot. The handwriting was identical to his own, but he hadn't written any such letter.
Das ist unmöglich.
The chief didn't press further. He just warned Nora to stay away from Grain, and from his home. Nora knew no explanation would convince anyone, so he said nothing. He just snapped a photo of the letter. He rushed straight home, printed out the photo, and tried to find anything suspicious. Then he pulled out his own notebook, and made an even more chilling discovery. The indentations on the blank page matched the threatening letter perfectly, which meant he really had written that letter himself. Nora's mind exploded. If he really wrote it, why couldn't he remember any of it? He spiraled into total breakdown. Just then, he noticed a poster on the fridge. He hadn't brought that home. Nora was trembling with terror. Had someone broken into his home and written that letter? But then how did the handwriting match his exactly? There was no time to overthink. First thing the next morning, Nora had the locks changed, and installed security cameras. Then he called his neighbor Teresa over, to help him think things through. But the more he thought, the more he doubted himself.
Bei meiner Mutter fing es genauso an. Sie wurde total paranoid. Dachte, alle lügen sie an. Sie hatte Demenz.
Nora started wondering if he'd inherited his mother's dementia. Forgetting things you'd done was one of the earliest symptoms, so Nora went to see a doctor. But the doctor told him not to worry. He was far too young for dementia. It rarely started this early. His symptoms were more likely caused by bad habits. Things like extreme stress, combined with the substances Nora had used in his younger years, could cause irreversible damage to the brain, even hallucinations. The doctor prescribed some sedatives, which might help ease his symptoms. Feeling slightly better, Nora reached out to the artist, Bart, not just for the interview, but also because today was Lehaina's funeral. After everything that had happened, Bart seemed like the only one who could ease his mind. After attending Lehaina's modest funeral, Bart saw right through Nora's emotions. He was blaming himself for the old woman's death, just like he blamed himself for his friend Valerie's death. Nora explained that Valerie had left a suicide note, but oddly, her family had told him it was better not to read it. Back then, Nora suspected. The note contained blame directed at him, and her family didn't want him carrying that guilt, so they kindly kept it from him. But for Nora, the more he guessed, the more he blamed himself. He'd been carrying that weight for 14 years. Bart offered calm reassurance.
Aber warum nehmen Sie die Schuld an? Nach so langer Zeit. Warum lassen Sie die nicht los?
But there were still all these mysteries around Arthur Grain. Thankfully, his old colleague soon had good news. He'd made progress investigating Grain's ex. Her name was Emma. She'd moved years ago and vanished without a trace. All her contact info had been deactivated. So beyond her name, there was nothing else to find. But the moment Nora got back to the office, he received an anonymous email. Inside was just a single photo of Valerie. Nora had a hunch. He immediately messaged the mystery sender, asking if they'd sent the email. They admitted it right away. They'd gone through Nora's social media, and learned the story between him and Valerie. They were deeply moved. Nora quickly pressed, asking if they were Emma, Grain's ex. But the moment they saw the question, they went offline, which all but confirmed Nora's guess. Back home, Nora kept digging through Grain's file, and he soon made a shocking discovery. From 2007 to 2010, Grain had been an intern at a company in Weinsbach, only 10 kilometers from where Nora and Valerie grew up, an 8-minute drive away. And even more shocking, from 2007 to 2009, Grain had worked as a math tutor. And during those exact years, Valerie had also hired a tutor. Nora finally pieced together the truth. 14 years ago, Valerie had fallen for a man 15 years older than her. Nora had never seen the man. Not long after, Valerie got pregnant. She didn't know what to do, but the man told her to get rid of the baby. Valerie didn't dare tell her family. She only told Nora, and asked him to keep the secret. But not long after, Valerie took her own life. Now Nora suspected Grain had been Valerie's tutor, and the secret boyfriend she could never tell anyone about. It all made sense. But to be sure, he contacted Valerie's younger brother. He wanted to look for clues in the suicide note. The brother clearly didn't want to bring up the past, but after more than a decade, he'd let some of it go. He agreed to send Nora a copy, but Valerie's note contained nothing but goodbyes, no mention of the boyfriend at all. It did confirm Nora's other suspicion though. Valerie really had hoped, right up to the end, that Nora would pull her out of that dark place. She had blamed him, at least a little, but Nora soon figured it all out. He contacted Valerie's brother again, and sent over a photo of Arthur Grain.
Valerie hatte doch damals Mathe-Nachhilfe.
Ja.
Der Typ auf dem Foto, das ist Arthur Grimm. War das Ihr Nachhilfelehrer?
But the brother didn't recognize him either. Nora quickly made another request. He needed some of Valerie's other writing samples. The brother had no idea what he was up to. Nora's emotions suddenly flared up.
Dieser Brief. Vielleicht hat sie ihn gar nicht selbst geschrieben.
Was?
Dieser Mann behauptet, ich hätte ihm einen Drohbrief geschrieben. Die Schrift in dem Brief sieht aus wie meine. Und wenn er meine Schrift fälschen kann, warum denn nicht auch die von Valerie?
What was even more suspicious was that Valerie's note made no mention of that man at all, only blame directed at Nora.
Wenn sie so enttäuscht von uns beiden war, warum steht denn da nur mein Name? Warum steht da nur mein Name?
The only explanation was that Grain had forged the note. He wanted to shift the blame and make himself look innocent. Valerie hadn't killed herself at all. Grain had pushed her. Nora's intensity scared the brother off. He ended the call, but Nora was now nearly certain of his theory. Valerie, Grain, and the mystery person warning him about Grain, likely Grain's ex Emma. The connections between the three were becoming much clearer. The most urgent thing now was to confirm whether the mystery sender was Emma. If so, most of the puzzle would fall into place. To speed things up, his old colleague brought in a hacker. She could trace someone's address through a phone number or email. Nora quickly handed over his email and password. And sure enough, moments later, she traced an address. Nora rushed straight there. He spotted her immediately, a slim, red-haired girl in the garden. She looked just like Valerie.
Emma Mertens?
Ja?
But the moment Emma realized, she turned and ran. Nora chased after her.
Wie hast du mich gefunden? Geh, bitte geh! Sicher nicht. Lass uns drin reden. Komm.
She seemed terrified of something. The second they got inside, Emma locked every door behind her. Before she could even speak, Nora unloaded all his questions at once.
Was weißt du über Valerie Grimm?
Bitte beruhig dich erstmal.
Was ist mit Dorothea Lechner passiert?
Wer?
Die Bettlerin?
Ich kenne keine Bettlerin.
Du hast mir geschrieben, dass sie gerade tot war. Sag mir nicht, das war ein Zufall.
Ich weiß nichts von einer Bettlerin.
Warum hast du mir dann geschrieben, er sei gefährlich?
Emma finally explained that when she was with Grain, he used to beat her and threaten to kill her. 3 years ago, she'd reported him, and she'd been trying to gather evidence against him ever since. Grain had told her about his ex Valerie jumping off a bridge with him, but never said why. What made Emma start looking into Valerie? Was something Grain said during one of his violent outbursts?
Ist mal so wütend geworden. Und da hat mir gedroht, dass mich auch umbringen wird.
Auch?
Ich habe dieses auch nie vergessen.
He used the word also, which strongly suggested he'd killed someone before, and the only victim Emma could think of was Valerie. So she followed Valerie's name and found Nora's account. She tracked down Nora's number, since he was a well-known journalist, and started messaging him to warn him about Arthur Grain. Then Emma showed the horrific scars on her knees, courtesy of Grain. Ever since escaping his place, she changed her name and hid out at her grandmother's, surviving on welfare. Now, to escape this for good, they needed solid evidence to put Grain behind bars. But just then, the doorbell rang. Emma checked the window, it was Grain. Emma pulled out a gun. But Nora suddenly remembered the prophecy. Could this be the death he was prophesied to cause? He quickly stopped her.
Bist du verrückt? Ich rede mit ihm. Ich habe keine Angst. Wenn irgendetwas schief geht, dann rufst du die Polizei.
Sie brauchen zu lange.
Willst du ihn erschießen?
Coming to their senses, the two escaped through the backyard. Thankfully, Grain didn't follow. They eventually made it back to Nora's place. Worried about anything happening, Nora hid the gun under the bed. Looking at Emma, he couldn't help but think of Valerie. Maybe to make up for that old regret, he felt a protective instinct rising in him for Emma. But he didn't notice the strange way Emma was looking at him. The next morning, Nora kept stealing glances at Emma's face. While he was lost in thought, the fan beside him suddenly stopped. He checked, and found the breaker had tripped. At that moment, he didn't sense anything was wrong. He left Emma a note and headed out. He rushed to the office. He'd been so focused on investigating Grain, he hadn't checked in with his boss for a long time. His boss was clearly holding back his anger. Nora had no choice but to set the investigation aside for now. But after a few routine interview questions, Bart unexpectedly turned off Nora's recorder. He wanted to invite Nora to dinner that night. Nora refused without a second thought. Though grateful Bart had helped him work through some things, he still couldn't accept Bart's so-called artistic philosophy. Nora had just noticed that Bart called all his students by the same name, Kim. He didn't see them as individuals. He didn't even see them as people. And yet they all seemed to love it. He was still a master manipulator. And Nora still found him utterly repulsive. So he made the excuse that his boss needed the article tomorrow, and he'd probably have to work late. But Bart told him not to worry. If his boss dared fire Nora, Bart would pull some strings and have the boss replaced. As he said it, he took hold of Nora's hand.
Sie brauchen keine Angst.
Ich habe keine Angst. Ich lasse mich nicht instrumentalisieren von einem Mann, der Angst vom Sterben hat, um mich nur dazu benutzt, um sich lebendig zu fühlen. Ich bin nicht eine ihrer Studentinnen.
Vielleicht das allerletzte Angebot, das ich in meinem Leben jemandem gemacht habe.
Ich fühle mich trotzdem nicht geehrt.
Dein Untergehen, Nora. Ihnen fehlt der Überlebensinstinkt.
Nora walked out without looking back, but Bart's words turned the gears of fate. Nora's life was about to be dragged into an even deeper abyss. The moment he got home, he saw clothes scattered everywhere.
Emma?
Then, in a panic, he realized Emma was gone. He called her, but she didn't pick up. He quickly checked the security footage, and found that right after he left, the power had cut out and the cameras had stopped. Desperate, Nora grabbed the gun hidden under the bed. He was going to confront Grain head-on, but what he had no idea about was that from the moment he stepped into this maze, someone had been watching from the shadows, and that someone was the very man who'd called him Valerie at the subway station.
Valerie? Valerie?
Things were getting more and more complicated. In just a single month, Nora had gone from being prophesied to kill, to actually having murderous thoughts of his own. But where did that prophecy really come from? And who was pulling the strings behind it all? We'll keep peeling back the layers next time, and uncover the shocking truth behind this terrifying prophecy. I'm Sam. See you next time.